They wanted to see something different, but something different saw them first. The hills have eyes.
Mister, don't take your family back in that area. The silver has been gone for 40 years now.
Ah, family. Can't live with them, can't live without them. Everyone's is different and comes with its own unique set of trials and tribulations. But at the end of the day, we can all agree on one thing. Dads love to stretch leftovers out way past what's acceptable. Oh, and also we're all glad that we're not related to a clan of murderous, cannibalistic, potentially inbred lunatics. Horror movies love families like that though. So let's get right to it and count down the top 5 worst horror movie families. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Jupiter clan from The Hills Have Eyes. Usually naming stuff after planets is pretty cool, or maybe they're named after Roman gods. Either way, you'd have a much better time at the museum learning about their namesakes than you would running into them. Welcome to the desert. Things are gonna get weird. In this classic Wes Craven romp, we meet a much nicer family first, the Carters. This suburban household is making their way from Ohio to LA, travel trailer in tow. With them, they've got a couple teens, a fully grown daughter with a husband and a baby, and 2 dogs. Family fun out in the sun, right? Well, they make a pit stop in Nevada to pick up some gas and meet old Fred. They don't want to hang out with Fred, but due to some very unfortunate circumstances, they've gotta. Fred found out that his son Jupiter had killed other livestock, so Fred beat him within an inch of his life and left him to rot somewhere in the hills. For most folks, that would be a death sentence. But Jupiter is a lunatic, so he survives, finds a woman, and settles down to have a family. 3 planetary sons and an unfortunate whose daughter, Ruby. According to Fred, this family survives in the desert by kidnapping and cannibalizing travelers and stealing their supplies, and wouldn't you know it, the exact same thing starts to happen to the poor Carters. The Jupiter clan is here to kick some ass and chew bubblegum and also eat people and perform crucifixions. It's a pretty wild method of operation. These crazed man-eaters don't mess around either and perform all sorts of heinous deeds, from killing and eating dogs, to chaining up their offspring in caves, to brutally teenagers. It's not the kind of life anybody really fantasizes about, right? I know some families manage to be pretty granola and they carve out a little spot for themselves in the wilderness, but the Jupiter clan seems to take that idea a little bit too far. Most folks don't love eating human flesh and killing innocent passersby, which are 2 major reasons you should be glad you're not a member of this family unit. Plus, the desert seems like a rough place to set up your ancestral home. Coming in at number 4, we've got the Wilsons from Us. So let me be clear, I'm talking about the bad version of the Wilsons, although the good Wilsons are never really in an enviable position to start with. When the whole world receives horrible, mute doppelgangers that are out for blood, you'd better believe that your family's gonna be pretty rough. While on vacation near a particularly familiar pier, the family encounters a bunch of violent behavior. Doesn't seem too bad until the evening though. That's when the family hits the family fan. Each of the Wilsons discovers that they've got an evil twin, chomping at the bit to torture and kill their counterpart. These counterparts seem to have been trained to be highly efficient, athletic, and remorseless when it comes to killing off these surface versions of themselves. However, while the rest of the world seems to quickly fall victim to their reflections, the Wilsons manage to survive through a mix of luck, skill, and power of will. Good for them. So not only are the alternate Wilsons terrible because they're creepy, without language, and wield grotesque scissors, but also because they don't actually accomplish their mission. They cause plenty of pain and are really scary, don't get me wrong, but their one goal was to kill and replace themselves on the surface, and they seem to be the only underworld family unable to do that. Maybe it's because there's a secret ringer somewhere in the family unit, but I'll gloss over that for now in the interest of keeping this relatively spoiler-free. I guess I already kind of talked about how they failed on their mission, but hey. What good's a horror movie if the protagonists don't put up a good fight, right? Beyond the literal reading of the plot, one can also delve a little deeper and search for the meaning behind the families that Jordan Peele wove throughout. What do these underground, rabbit-eating, malice-filled people represent? What are the tunnels they seem to originate from's purpose? Would you rather be on the surface or below in a red jumpsuit? All worthwhile questions while pondering what makes this family so disturbing. Coming in at number 3, we've got the Odets from Wrong Turn. Veering back towards the cannibalistic cabal side of things, we've got a backwoods clan for the ages. A bunch of ugly sons of Sawtooth, Three Finger, and One Eye love to kill and eat lost travelers whenever they get the chance. They're the result of a family tree that doesn't have a whole lot of branches, if you know what I mean. And while they might be hideous, they're brighter than they look. Setting traps, tracking folks through the woods, and expertly using all sorts of weapons, improvised or not, they're veritable cold-blooded killers. Hard as hell to get rid of, too, as they make it out of the first flick and into a whole series of sequels. Well, most of them anyways. There's a lot of these weirdos too. The 3 from the original movie are just the beginning, because you've also got Maynard and Delilah, who are behind the whole operation, Ma and Pa, who were the lovely little related couple that managed to pop out some more Odets for the world to love. There's also Three Toes, Maya, and another unknown killer who folks seem to think is part of the family. All I can say is that you're probably not getting invited over for dinner at their place, because the only folks they bring home are family or dead people. Otherwise, they're almost entirely self-sufficient. So don't take that wrong turn, yeah? Coming in at number 2, we've got the Firefly Family from House of a Thousand Corpses. Mother, Hugo, Earl, Baby, Tiny, Otis, and more. A collection of misfits and murderers with a connection deeper than anyone could ever know, and deeper than you'd probably like to know, for being honest. First appearing in Rob Zombie's cult classic House of a Thousand Corpses and capturing the hearts of oddballs the world over, the Fireflies are an odd bunch. They like killing people, and making folks into fish art, and torturing random motel customers, and driving full speed into police blockades. There's a lot of stuff that the Fireflies get up to over the course of their legendary 3-movie run. Even though folks seem to like them a lot, they're vicious, brutal people. Looking at their lineage, it appears that the family goes back a generation or two, with Grandpa Hugo starting everything awful associated with Dr. Satan, and then Mother Firefly siring a whole bunch of kids with different dads. These kids grew up together, and eventually the Firefly family started living the depraved lifestyle they're known for today. Kidnappings, torture, dismemberment, and murder are always on deck. But at least they always stick together no matter what, right? Inspiring and horrifying. And finally at number 1, we've got the Sawyers from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. To top off our list, we'll take a look at the insane cannibal family that inspired the rest of the cannibal families we listed today. Out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, lives a family obsessed with consuming human flesh, mutilation, and chili. The relatives of the one and only chainsaw-wielding maniac Leatherface. It's the Sawyers. While good old Leatherface might have become the everlasting face of this horror franchise, a lot of the real terror comes from the family that raised him. Who wouldn't be afraid of a clan that could do that to a person? As much as they're incredibly entertaining to watch, it would be an absolute nightmare to spend any time with the Sawyers, whether they're trying to eat you or not. First off, they've got their grandpa, who is just barely hanging on. But try convincing any of them that he's a goner and that they should probably stop force-feeding him human slop and making him swing a hammer. Then there's Chop Top, who makes his first appearance in Texas Chainsaw 2. Hanging out with him would kind of be like hanging out with a delusional band kid on Four Loko and Colombian snow. Funny, but totally unpredictable and very likely to get real violent. The cook/Drayton Sawyer will feed you something that's pretty good, but he won't tell you what's in it, prompting gastrointestinal distress and weeks of nightmares. And of course, Leatherface will either immediately kill you and tear your body to shreds, or he'll think you're his new best friend/love interest and then won't leave you alone. The Texas Chainsaw origin story has been reimagined many times over, but the OG Sawyers are the wildest and most entertaining of the bunch to watch. God, I wouldn't want to be within 100 kilometers of these folks. Do you feel a little better about your own family now? Nobody's perfect, but at least they're not cannibals. Right? God, I hope I didn't accidentally hit any nerves with that one. So, what'd you think of the list? Do you agree with my picks? What horror movie family would be the worst to run into? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more absorbent ones from the top 5 newest Trevor Henderson monsters 2021. Ducky Dan says, can't wait for ghosts. I like the interactive live action, just hope they don't run away every time they see a ghost like in the videos. Only time will tell, but it looks like they're putting together quite the wicked project. Revelair17 says, imagine a sci-fi horror series following a top secret organization tracking and investigating all of these creatures. Like the X-Files, but with Trevor Henderson. Could be fun. Spooky Buzzy says, I've been waiting for the side effects of the literal worst non-medication sleep supplement that's been giving me awfully lucid and vivid dreams to go away for days, and now Mr. Bag is probably gonna haunt me for a few nights. Thanks, Keegan. It's what I'm here to do. Provide dream-haunting content. May North says there was an old UK movie/show about newscasters live broadcasting a real-life haunting. It was like the UK version of War of the Worlds. Heard about it in a video long ago. Pity I can't find it again. Sounds like you're talking about the BBC's Ghost Watch. And Con3080 says they're not real. Could have fooled me. And that's all the time we have for today. I'm gonna make a wish and have myself turned into some dice before heading down into a dungeon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Horrible doppelgangers that are out for blood, you'd better believe. Dang it.